All right, so with me now is Jason Blazakis. He is the former director of the State Department's Counterterrorism Finance and Designations Office. He is now a professor of practice of nonproliferation and terrorism studies at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies. Jason, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So we're seeing what's happening domestically, right, with these high gas prices. This is something that we expected. This is something the president predicted would likely happen. And these numbers, by the way, could go up. We're above $6 in California. That number could go even higher, right? There's also an assessment being made at the State Department level, of course, inside the Biden administration. How is this going to affect Moscow? How is this going to affect Russia and the domestic audience there? But then there's the question of, is this the right thing to do? Is this what we should be doing, considering the atrocities on the ground that we're seeing inside Ukraine? What is your take on this, Jason?
So we've inflicted so much economic pain on the Russian Federation to this point, going after senior leaders like Vladimir Putin vis-a-vis sanctions, going after the oligarchs who control 30% of Russia's wealth, going after multiple financial institutions, the top banks of Russia, cutting off some of those banks from SWIFT, and designating the Russian central bank, which was essentially the rainy day fund for the Russian Federation, because Putin knew these sanctions were coming. But we've been reluctant about going after the oil and gas component of the Russian Federation's wealth, which is significant. 40% of government funding that the Russian Federation gets comes from energy. And we're continuing to buy this energy, oil and gas. In essence, we're fueling Russia's war in Ukraine. And as I see the images of what's happening in Ukraine, the devastation, the toll on civilians, I think it's an important conversation to have. And we have to consider this, because this is one of the most significant things we still can do vis-a-vis sanctions, but it's going to take the multilateral community to buy into it. It's going to be cold in Europe. You start cutting off the Russian Federation's movement of oil and gas into Europe, the pain is going to be inflicted on the Europeans. And we're going to have pain too. You know, the prices are skyrocketing. I live in California. I just saw your last segment. I paid nearly $5 a gallon just a few days ago, and now I'm just shocked by how expensive it is now in places like Los Angeles. But I think it's a small price for us to pay to inflict the pain that we need to on the Russian Federation so their war machine can stop.
Well, by the way, there are ways in which we can bridge that gap, right? Conversations we know that will likely happen between the United States and Saudi Arabia to fill the holes that Russia will leave behind if, of course, we cut off those gas and oil imports. Not enough, of course, to lower those gas prices and to provide all the gas and oil that's needed, especially across the continent of Europe. But nonetheless, it can help.
Oh, absolutely. The Saudis have to step up. They need to increase production, and we have to look at our own oil reserves. And the administration has signaled that that is on the table as well. There are things we can do in the short run to help stem the pain that we're going to inflict on ourselves by deploying these sanctions. I think it's inevitable that these sanctions are going to move forward. The Secretary of State and a number of senior leaders are throughout Eastern Europe trying to essentially tell our allies that we're there for them. But also to get their buy-in, I think, for these sanctions as well.
Jason, stand by for us for a moment. Secretary of State Tony Blinken speaking in Latvia now, meeting with the Israelis there. Let's take a listen for one moment.
So it's imperative that this war come to an end, and Russia has to end it because it started it with no provocation, unwarranted, but also premeditated. So we very much appreciate the efforts that any of our close partners and friends and allies can make to see if there's any opening to end the war, consistent, of course, with the principles that we've all established, starting with the Ukrainian government and the Ukrainian people, who must have their sovereignty, their independence, and their territorial integrity. I look forward to hearing your ideas, hearing about some of the engagements that Israel has had, but we appreciate all efforts by friends and allies to look for a diplomatic resolution. That's always been preferable from the start. Unfortunately, Russia chose not to pursue the path of diplomacy. It chose aggression. And now we have to all contend with that. And I also look forward to speaking about, in the time that we have, some of the other issues and challenges that we're facing together. And we're united and committed to the proposition that Iran must never obtain a nuclear weapon. And I look forward to bringing you up to date on the latest on where we are on the talks with the Europeans, the Iranians, Russia, and China on the JCPOA. So great to see you. Thank you.
All right, Secretary of State Tony Blinken there meeting with the Israelis in Latvia there, speaking, of course, about the war in Ukraine right now and the Russian invasion in Ukraine, speaking specifically of diplomatic resolutions, right? What are the next steps here? The war needs to stop, and we need to have diplomatic resolutions moving forward. I want to bring Jason Blazakis back into the conversation here. Let's drill down a little bit on that. First and foremost, what more the West can do when it comes to getting Moscow to stop their invasion, and what diplomatic resolutions look like. And I want to talk first about something he wrote in the LA Times, and the headline reading this. The ultimate sanction, listing Russia as a state sponsor of terrorism. You argue this. Officially deeming Russia as a terrorist state would even further stain the Kremlin's reputation and relegate Russia to pariah status. Why do you think this is so important in this fight?
Well, one thing Putin's been able to do these last few decades is continually, launder his reputation. Things don't stick to him, and labeling the Russian Federation, and thus by extension Putin, as the arch terrorist within the Russian Federation, that's something you really can't come back from. And there are a lot of significant consequences associated with a state sponsor of terrorism listing that really does broaden the aperture in terms of what you can do vis-a-vis sanctions. It pushes the United States to push against the Russian Federation at places like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. And it limits the number of dual exports that we actually would be sending to places like the Russian Federation as well. And most importantly, it does tarnish Putin's reputation because he wants to be seen as a strong leader, as the next superpower. And in a lot of ways, once you're essentially tarnished in the way that the state sponsor of terrorism listing does, putting him in this really small table with Iran, North Korea, Cuba, and Syria, you can't come back from that. And I think in that sense, the fact that it affects his reputation and the fact that it actually broadens the sanctions is something that we need to think about.
Jason, if you will, please come back, because we've got to continue this conversation, especially when it comes to the diplomatic resolution. A lot of ideas on the table there that I think are important to kind of flesh out in this conversation. For now, Jason Blazakis, thank you for sticking with us. All right, on the